it'll say ding on air. So this Hangout on Air is live. So welcome everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome to Speak Sister Speak. I'm Shannon Hugman and I'm here with Ciara Rubin. And basically, I mean, we just feel like there's so much to talk about. And that why not create an outlet for these things to be said, for these conversations to be had. And so let's just start out by Ciara. Just who are you? What turns you on? Tell us about yourself.
Oh my gosh, wow, those are awesome questions. Okay, so who am I? I am a creator. I'm a sovereign creative being. I love magic and magical things, and that second part, loving magical things, brought me to a spiritual awakening not too long ago, and a realization that I, along with many other men and women, are here to carry out a mission, a purpose that is meaningful to us. And while everybody has a purpose that is meaningful, there are some of us who feel called to help in a certain way, in an esoteric type of way. And so that is what I'm here to do. And there are many different forms through which that manifests and how that manifests, different projects, different collaborations like this. And ultimately, what are we moving towards, right? We want to feel good. We know that we're moving into this new earth paradigm. We're seeing a lot of darkness that is kind of making way and having the contractions that are going to allow us to give birth to this new way of being here on earth. So that's what I want to say for now. Tell me, who are you and what turns you on?
Great questions. I can talk all about that. But I actually also want to say that Ciara and I really set the intention for this to be in the moment. If you're either one of our followers, you know that we are, in very many ways, we connect to source energy. And whether you're listening to my astrological guidance or some of Ciara's awesome channelings or whatever, it's really in the moment. So this is totally in the moment. I mean, we kind of know what we want to talk about, but we're just flowing with it, being spontaneous. And so I'm Shannon Hugman, and I used to call myself an astrologer. I used to call myself an emotional healer, but lately all I want to say is I am source energy. I am tapped in, and I'm a powerful creator, and I am you. So, I mean, as we start to really live in this new age ascension, which is going to be our next topic, it comes down to the fact that we're energy, that everything we see is energy. So as though, yes, I work with the energies of the planets. So many of you know me from offering astrological, cosmic guidance and insights. Really, I think for the purpose of this conversation, it's just important to say I'm a conduit of source. I am, a beacon of light, and I am you. And so that's really, what I'm really feeling into in my life is that my experiences are my medicine. I know that I'm a teacher, and I know you're a teacher too, Ciara, but I believe that in a way we're all teachers, and we teach through our example. And so that's really what I'm starting to experience is that, my struggles, my hurts, my pains, my joys, my happiness, as I share those experiences, and again, those who are following me know that I'm getting a little bit more transparent, a lot more transparent in the last month. So yeah, I could say I'm an astrologer, but I think the better way to say it is I just am interested in the energies of the cosmos, and I am an emotional healer, but I just like to dive into the subconscious. So I really think we're moving away from a time of these chunky labels that define ourselves into saying, I'm source energy in action. And it's super exciting. And it's really, really amazing that we're at this point in time. And like Ciara said, so much darkness is coming to light. But that turns me on. That really excites me. Because
I know what you mean.
Finally we can have these conversations that I've wanted to have for a while. Conversations that shocked me, that rocked my foundations when I lost faith in the system, or whatever we want to say. But now obviously the sun's in Scorpio, so this seems to be happening. The moon is full today. It's a time now to face things that leave us feeling vulnerable, or things that have been left unsaid for millennials. Millennials. And so, you know, yes, this is called Speak Sister Speak, but this is not gender specific. This is for everybody. But, you know, this inspiration to Speak Sister Speak, it was, first of all, I was reading Rise Sister Rise, which is an amazing book. Rebecca Campbell, awesome goddess. Everybody at Hay House UK is just rocking it. Mel Wells, Lisa Lister, they're just incredible women, as are many Hay House authors. But something about Hay House UK right now, there's a lot of magic. Anyways, so I was reading that, and Ciara and I wanted to collaborate on something we knew. The moment I saw Ciara on Periscope, she was doing her Lakshmi meditations, which are mantras, which I'm sure a lot of you know, especially those on Periscope watching the behind the scenes of this broadcast. And it was like, oh my gosh, who is this person? And can she be my best friend? And of course, you know,
yes.
Yeah, right. But the insecurities bubble up. You're like, well, she's got that many followers, or look how many hearts she has on Periscope. Is she gonna want to talk? Is she all these things? But anyways, here we are, just 6 months later, and I think that a lot of us, and I know a lot of you sisters watching and brothers, we're coming together for a powerful reason. But anyways, the reason why I use that word "speak, sister, speak" is, first of all I could hear in my head for like a whole afternoon was just "speak, sister, speak." Speak, sister, speak. And I'm like, I talk a lot. Like, I'm already talking. I don't know if you're talking to me, but I don't know how much more you want me to talk. But basically, you know, it's about allowing these divine feminine energies, these more gentler energies, these but powerful, albeit, these sorts of topics, these things that have been hidden, give them a showcase, give them a stage. Yeah, so that's a little intro into the inspiration behind Speak Sister Speak, into Shannon Hugman. But now, unless you have anything else to add, Ciara, why don't we dive into ascension? I know, Ciara, you talk about this a lot. You're such a lead. I really feel like you're on the cutting edge of this topic. So what the heck is ascension?
Yeah, so thank you. Beautiful intro, and thank you for really clarifying that and really speaking to, and I think that we're going to get to this tonight, talking more about sisterhood, talking more about that comparison that happens, because it happens to all of us. No matter how many followers, no matter how big the numbers are, there's always that thing that can happen sometimes. So I think that's important for us to touch on. But yeah, let's talk about what we're super, super excited to talk about, which is ascension. I'm always excited to talk about that. And what I'll start out with is how I found out about it, and kind of my feels at that time, and then how it's kind of evolved. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
Okay, so in a nutshell, before I begin with how I found out about it, in a nutshell, to me, ascension is grounding higher dimensional consciousness. To me, ascension does not mean that we're going anywhere. We're not leaving the earth. We're not leaving our physical bodies. We are reaching up. We're not going anywhere, but we're reaching and allowing ourselves to open at those upper levels above the crown, to allow that high dimensional information that has been coming in ever since forever, but especially accelerated since 2012, to allow that information to clean us out of karma, of darkness, of fear, and allow a new state of being to be born within us. And that, to me, is what ascension is a state of being. It's not a destination. It's a process unfolding within our very bodies, our very chakra systems, our very energy bodies. And it's grounding that consciousness into the planet, and enough of us doing that it grounds deep enough to where it lifts up the collective to a higher dimensional state of being. So basically, a way I would describe that is if we have a black and white option, nowadays, right? So if white is everything's blissful, everything's joyful, if black is death, destruction, tragedy, murder, all of these kinds of things, then after ascension or during this process, we're going to be seeing a lessening of that darkness, where that black is going to be turning to dark gray, medium gray. Does that make sense? So we're having less shades of gray on the darker end of the spectrum. That doesn't mean that all darkness goes away. It just means that it's not as stark of a difference between dark and light, and dark becomes that medium gray. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Mm-hmm. And that more balanced perspective that you're hearing, that more grounded perspective, came about later. So when I first found out about ascension, it was right around the time when I started finding out about galactic consciousness. So it was just a lot at once. And I found out about it from a standpoint of, there's these waves of energy coming. You better hitch a ride. Are you in the first wave? Are you in the second wave? Are you going to make it? And to be fully honest, I got kind of scared. I got kind of freaked out. I got kind of scared and like, oh my God, like, am I going to make ascension? Like, am I, I didn't do so well at cheerleader auditions in seventh grade. So, like, well, how is this ascension thing going to go? Like, what does that mean? And what I took it to realize at first was that I had a lot of fear that I needed to face. I had a lot of fear that was in my consciousness that was creating the kinds of scenarios in my dreams and in the thoughts that I was thinking in my day-to-day life of the possibilities that could be tragic, that could be crisis type events happening in my own life. And I realized when I realized that I was creating my reality, that was a problem, and that if I wanted to ascend or be part of ascension, then I needed to dig deeper and face more fears and do more shadow work. I started meditating every day, twice a day for 20 minutes at a time, and did that consistently for about a month. And I mean, the shifts were profound. But so basically what I want to speak to is that I can understand if there are those of you out there who are watching or listening live or on replay that might be afraid or might think that ascension is going to just click and the next day is ascension, and then all of you who haven't done it, how scary that feels, good, right? So why do we want to buy into that? We don't have to buy into that. And because ascension is such a, now there's a lot of people talking about it. Everybody has their own spin on it. And we can always remember that everyone's spin on it is being perceived through their filters, is being perceived through the fear that they may or may not have in their own energy field. And so, we don't have to buy into anything that makes us feel afraid, anything that makes us feel inferior. I don't care if someone who's been in the business for 20 years says it. I don't care if an alien says it. We get to decide our own reality. We get to decide our ascension and how that process feels, and whether that process feels like I better make the grade, so I got to hurry up because it's tomorrow, or if we want that process to be an unfoldment over 5, 10, 20 years that is gradual and feels good and allows us to get a firm footing into that new reality so that we can hold that vibration consistently. Does that feel good? How do you feel about that? Everything I'm saying so far?
I get it. That sounds great.
So how about you? How did you find out about it? What happened? What happened?
Good. Yeah. So before I even, I think it's really, really important in this time to really clearly, and I mean, maybe this is just it's important for me. Let's just say that. I can't say what's important for anyone else. It's important for me to clearly define certain words that I'm using. And so when I hear the word ascension, I actually think about it's about ascending, about rising, about becoming higher. And when we kind of take it back to the fact that we're all energy, that you're a force field of energy, I'm a force field of energy, and we're all these beings coming off of one ultimate source of energy, and that Earth is another larger beam coming off this source, and our whole galaxy is a larger beam, and the whole universe is a larger beam, and we're all coming from this big source. Now, it's this source of energy that's getting to creatively express itself in all sorts of ways, and getting to explore through contrast, and getting to explore itself and get to know itself more through Shannon and through Ciara and through you and through Earth and through humanity and through Jupiter, wherever, however it's creatively expressing. But ascension is that source that you are is being turned up. It's getting brighter. It's coming. And it's happening. And so another word I'm going to use, but I want to define what I mean by this word, is the word light. And so the light is getting brighter. And now when I say light, the light to me means information. Or at least in this context, that's how I'm using it. Because if I turned this light off in this room right now, I would be a lot less informed. I wouldn't be able to see that my dog is sleeping right there. If the light of the computer screen went off, I wouldn't know that it's working properly anymore. It's disorienting when the light goes off. And so light is information, and because source energy at this time of ascension is getting lighter and brighter, this is happening, in my physical life, and maybe your experience too, of more information. We're getting more information about ourselves, about life, about the fact that we're energy. And so ascension, although, I think it's important to talk about how this idea of ascension has been sort of manipulated by certain organizations, and there's lots we're going to all go to this place in the sky. I know, Ciara, you touched on this. We're all going to go there, and we're going to be there, and you better not do this or you're going to lose your ticket and you're not going to get to come. It's not like that at all, at least in my experience. It's that we're getting brighter by more information coming, and that this ascension is not exclusive to our Earth. Let's just take a minute and really realize how small Earth is in the picture. And I know Ciara can talk so much to that galactic consciousness. But basically, ascension to me is that the light is getting brighter and the information is coming. Yeah. And if we're going to say that light is information, then let's say that darkness is ignorance. Darkness is when we're not told something, or when information has been withheld from us. And now, at least, my feeling is that the story of Earth, we've had a lot of information withheld from us. There's been a lot of, darkness, but merely because certain information has been, you can't know that, you don't, no. And I think a great way, example of that is just through astrology. If we look at through history how demonized astrology was, how it was evil to follow the moon in these cycles. And even in today, as I work with those energies every single day, the misconceptions that exist, and that so many people, and that's why I'm like, I feel like such a little busy worker ant. I got so much work to do, so much awareness to cultivate, because people still think they're only their sun signs. People don't know what the birth chart is. People don't know that the moon is in Scorpio right now, or the sun is in Scorpio. People don't know that Saturn's in Sagittarius. People don't know these waves of energy are coming. And that's the thing, is when I speak about astrology, I always say there's streams of energy. And when you have an awareness of an energetic current, or even just if you think about a physical current, like a current in water, when you have an awareness that that current is there, you can use your free will, because you have free will. You can choose to jump in and be with that current. So I think ascension is, more than anything else, information coming to our planet so that we can choose with our free will what we want next. We can choose, instead of being on this sort of like default hamster wheel of existence of like what comes on TV and what's in the newspaper. And another, you know, as I talk about ascension, I want to say, like, in your individual lives, take a moment and think back to like 2010. Think back to 2010. And then look at everything that's unfolded in your individual life and collectively to this moment. That's ascension. It's happening, you know. And my personal experience in 2010, I was a very, very unhappy person. I despised myself. I despised my body. I hated getting out of bed in the morning. I only ever, you know, was happy if I were around people who would say like, oh, you're so awesome, Shannon. Like, you know, I was like looking for other people to fill my cup. That was in 2010. And then, you know, I started hearing about like certain events in history that just don't really add up. And I know, I'm sure a lot of you kind of know some big events that we were told a story of what happened. And if you actually kind of take a look, you're like, why are there so many scientists fighting that? Anyways, we don't have to get into that. And so at that point, that was when I started, oh my God, not only do I hate to say it, but I hate myself. But look at how effed up this planet is. That was my awakening. It was like, what the fuck? But again,
it's hard. It's hard because that is the first place that a lot of us go. And I want to say too that that's so valid. Like if that is the way that you're waking up or the way that anyone watching is waking up, it certainly was part of my awakening as well. Just the anger of feeling deceived or you know, and only understanding it from that perspective. And that is so valid. And that's such a place of power because there's so much rising and so much light can come out of moving through that anger, channeling that anger into passion, into some of our you know, the things that light us up. And also we can come in with that perspective, that spiritualized perspective of, okay, what does it mean that this information was held from us? What does that represent? What does that mean on a collective level? That means that perhaps there was a big trauma that happened in another civilization, in another time, Atlantis, Lemuria, and we have such karma around that situation that we then chose to descend. We didn't choose to descend. We did. It was where we were on the progression of the equinox. We just didn't quite understand that. But so we chose to come at it from a perspective of completely forgetting who we are. Completely forgetting that we are light like you were talking about, that we are knowledge, we have access to all knowledge, we have access to all abilities and all source energy. We chose to forget that, to learn from what happened in Atlantis, to learn from what happened in these other civilizations. And what we're seeing now and what we're discovering in this keeping of information from ourselves is that is the result of choosing to forget. That there is a lot of fear and a lot of the way we perceive it, negativity that can come from not knowing who you are. Though, what could be more exciting than completely forgetting who you are and then remember? I mean, really, on a soul level.
Well, that's exactly what happened to me. That's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah, on the microcosm, as the microcosm is the same as the macro. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so really what then started happening was I realized that it's important to, first of all, question information, but also to seek out more than what you're told. And so that kind of propelled me into a whole journey of discovering astrology, which then, you know, it was just a launching point that continued. And I was just getting more and more information, but information that resonated with me, information that excited me, information that felt really, really I don't know, empowering maybe, you know, whatever. You fill in the blank of how it feels when you hear something that you just know. But I really think, or I really feel, ascension is cultivating an awareness of energies, your own energy field, but also other energies. And so anybody who has had a reading with me or heard me speak of astrology, that's always my intention when I speak to the planets. Is my intention is to cultivate an awareness within you, show you something that exists. And another huge catalyst on my journey, and I think 2012 was a pretty turning point year for many people, was my mom suddenly transformed from her human body into an angelic energy, we can say. But at that point, although this was one of my biggest fears, I chose to continue to seek information and continue to engage with her energy field. And so this really then propelled me into a whole journey of very, I guess we could say, aligning with angelic energies. And that then took my life to a whole new level. Because energy it's never destroyed. Energy it's never destroyed. It simply changes form. And so now, to me, if I look back, now I'm in a space, ascension for me has been realizing that there are supportive energies all around me, cheering me on, wanting me to succeed, aligning. I think we're all doing it. It's not like saying I want to give myself credit and give you credit too, but there are very benevolent energies lining things up, making it kind of like fast tracking sort of things. Things are just happening left, right, and center. And then I think the thing is too, maybe they're not lining up, and that's okay to experience that as well. It's not saying when you're on this ascension path, everything lights up, but basically, life just took a magical mystery tour, as I like to say, and I'm still very much on it. But what accompanies that is surrendering total control. And I had a moment with the universe probably like 5 years ago now, where I just said, you can take the lead, universe, take the lead, use me. So that was like before I even knew astrology was a thing. So it's just saying. But one thing I did really want to jump off of a point that you said, Ciara, is how when we are, there was some, well, basically, I guess what I want to say is, like, look at where we're at right now. I know a lot of people, especially in America, or anyone watching what's happening in our world, this is a collective awakening. This is a time of contrast coming out. This isn't, and I said this on my Facebook stream, so if anybody, but anyways, doesn't matter if I said it before, but the hate, the anger, the separation, the sexism, the racism, that stuff's not new. But now it has a face. Now it is being shown. Now it is triggering people, and so people are having to respond to it. So I think it's darkness coming to light. We're getting a little grayer, which is really exciting. Just take that perspective. I feel like we are so experiencing essentially with the current world.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought up the angelic energy, because I've been feeling for a while now that I am so grateful for the foundation that I have in angelic energy, because it is so important, and I want to really speak to that to everyone who's watching. It is that angelic energy is available to any and all of us. It is not about about denomination or religion or dogma in any way. These truly are multidimensional beings that are here, that have come in closer awareness, in closer proximity to us, to specifically help us through this process. And so when we go through this process, there will be darkness. There will be darkness that comes out of your story. There will be darkness that comes out of your karma. There will be darkness that is happening in your thoughts. And in order to integrate with that, angelic energy is so helpful. It is such a great beacon, and of course you are as well. But if there's ever moments where you forget how bright you are, if there's ever moments when you forget that you don't have to be afraid, those angels, that angelic energy is so there for you and so important. And so, you know, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, all of these beings, these energies, it's so important to call on them. So I just felt like really called to say that. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and that's been really interesting as well, really diving into you know, what really is an angel, right? Because for all of these hundreds of thousands of years, we perceived it in a certain way based on, you know, our perception, our level of our ability to perceive. And like you said, Shannon, you know, this ascension is about knowledge. And I love that because it's really going to widen the scope of what we've been experiencing for millennia. It's really going to, the word that's coming to me is refine. We're going to be able to refine and simplify a lot of the concepts that have been separated into different religions and separated into different dogmas and different ideas. Even within the metaphysical community, there's all different types of spirituality, which I honor and celebrate. And what I feel is that this ascension and this infusion of galactic consciousness becoming part of a galactic community is going to help us refine and unify as a human race. While it's really fun, we can get together, you know, and celebrate our different cultures and our different customs, and yet at the same time really embody the idea that we are one planet, one human race. And that feels really, really yummy to me, just like in my tummy, in my gut, that feels good, like where we really understand that we're one human race, and the love and the pride and the light that can come from that true understanding.
Totally. Me too.
Totally. Me too.
Totally.
So that you've been talking about. I'm getting like a little bit of feedback.
Okay.
If I'm speaking here, you can just mute yourself. While I'm speaking, just mute yourself.
Okay. Cool.
And then we won't hear me coming from you. Or I can hear you. You don't know how.
I have it here, yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. Perfect. Okay, great. Now I don't hear me and then me again, echoing back. But yeah, I love that feeling. You know, I've had this reoccurring dream that I just feel called to share, of where, like, and you know, Bernie Sanders' campaign was kind of like the closest thing I sort of felt to it in reality, but I think it's just foreshadowing of what's occurring. And that being said, before I even share my dream, like I said a moment ago, energy is never destroyed. It only transforms and changes. And so those of you who are in, like, you know, people who were so excited, people who felt the burn, you know, I felt the burn, and I'm Canadian. That burn that's an energy that's been created. And so it's working its way. It's not a time to lose hope. But anyways, yeah, this reoccurring dream where the powers that be, or were, let's say, those, you know, those 1% at the top in this dream, they're just like, poof, they're gone. And we're like, everybody's running on the streets, everybody's celebrating, everybody's like, oh my gosh, finally, woo. So yeah, your vision of like humanity as one and connecting together, and you feel it in your tummy. I feel it too. And I feel that it's something I'll experience this lifetime. Anywho, so something that Ciara, you've been talking to me a lot, and it's been really inspiring me and giving me sort of a new perspective on things like angels or different gurus or things like that I look to, as maybe sometimes I forget that they are me, and I think that I have to reach to something else to give me that power. But the topic of sovereignty. So Ciara, do you wanna heart riff on this?
Yes, I unmute myself. Ta-da! Okay, so I have some really radical ideas about sovereignty. I have some really radical guides, let me just say, first of all. They are always encouraging me to talk about this and to break molds and shift paradigms in my speaking about sovereignty. So what do we say first? So first of all, what is sovereignty? What does that really mean? And sovereignty to me is synonymous with unity. Sovereignty to me means breaking free of the cycle where you feel that you either have to be abused or be the abuser. Sovereignty to me means understanding in a real way and an honoring in a real way of the way in which things have come to be, in the way in which things have come to be carried forward. So what I'm speaking about here is the way in, let's say, ancient Egypt, that we would deify certain beings, or we would deify certain gods and goddesses. And this happened, Greek gods and goddesses. This happened in Atlantis as well with the Pleiadians and the Lyrians, where we look outside of ourselves for magic, for God, for that sourceness, that source energy that you say that you understand that you are, which I really feel that you understand that. And sovereignty is the understanding that those beings are not any different than us, other than they're having a different experience. And I want to tell a quick story that really relates to that from when I was in Egypt this past April. And it was an amazing week. I was having amazing spiritual experiences in all of these different temples. The Temple of Isis. I got to see King Tut's mummy. I got to be in the tomb of the high priest, and all of these really powerful people. And we got to the last day, and we went into this room, and I love cats, and I've really always connected with cats, and I was really set the intention to connect with cat beings when I was in Egypt. And so it was the last day. I hadn't really had any of that cat interaction, but I kind of let that go, as you do when you manifest, right? You think about it and then you let it go. So we walk into this antechamber, this room, and there's a life-size black granite statue of Sekhmet, who is in the Egyptian tradition, the lioness, the lion goddess of creation and destruction, kind of a Egyptian version of Kali, if you will. And so I'm in there with the group, and we're chanting, doing a ritual, and I was just overcome with emotion, and I started crying, and I started having this really strange experience where I was not only hearing a voice, which, I mean, that's not that strange. I hear voices all the time. Anyway, all of the good kind of voices. But so I start hearing this voice in my head, but I'm smelling incense, and I'm smelling fur, and I'm feeling myself comb fur. And I hear this voice in my head, this female voice that says, "Welcome, sister." And I knew it to be the being that was standing before me, whether she was speaking to me from spirit or energetically, telepathically, she was communicating with me. And I was really taken aback and kind of felt resistance when she said, "Welcome, sister," because in my mind, I'm like, no, I'm not worthy of that. I'm not worthy of you calling me sister. Like, I'm having this vision of myself, worshiping you, washing you, caring for you as a priestess. But she said, "No, you are my sister, and you need to start seeing yourself that way." And I took that to mean as an individual, but also she was speaking to the collective. She was speaking to the human collective, that it's time for us to understand that we are on even footing with these beings. And then she said, "You are chosen because you choose." And that to me was also so powerful, because I feel, again, honoring the way in which the knowledge has come forward, there's been a specialness, right? You can get ostracized, you can get alienated, you can get burned at the stake or hung. So of course we have to make it bright and sparkly in some kind of a way to attract people to keep doing it, to attract people to keep carrying this knowledge forward. And so fame and hierarchy and becoming high priestess, becoming an initiate, feeling as though you're chosen, as though you're special, that really started to come into play within our spiritual community and within our psyche, those of us who were carrying forward that knowledge. And that sadly is from a place of trauma, and I have so much compassion for that and for myself and all of the traumas that I've seen in my past life regressions. Absolutely. And yet it's time for us of course we are a human collective, but also as that collective that have been priests and priestesses, also as that collective who have been grounding this work for lifetimes. It's time for us to let that go. It's time for us to let go of that trauma. It is time for us to let go of needing to be the most special, and to understand that by everyone being the same kind of special does not diminish your sovereignty, does not diminish my sovereignty. In fact, it intensifies it. It unifies what we're doing here. And so to me, sovereignty is letting go of that trauma of feeling alienated, forgiving and integrating with the collective unconscious, and having compassion on them, and so doing so having compassion on ourselves. And so, on a personal level, I've been guided to give away my goddess and my ascended master cards. Now, I'm speaking for myself. This is not a trying to convince anybody or telling anybody what to do. But I feel that to teach me about my own sovereignty, I was guided to give those things up. I've been guided to change the way that I use and speak about these beings in conversation, to understand that they are multidimensional beings just like I am and just like you are, and fully understanding that and interfacing with them on that level. And I also want to really quickly speak to having an issue with authority, because I know that can come up as well. A lot of us who identify as indigo, a lot of us who are really fiery, we can sometimes have trouble with authority, because part of why we are here is to expose darkness, is to expose darkness to the light. And so that being said, I want to be clear in the understanding that sovereignty doesn't mean, completely disassociating ourselves from the idea of being part of a godhead, or from the idea of being part of galactic consciousness. It's not an ego trip. Sovereignty is not that. It's a true embodiment of unity, a true embodiment of equality. And I feel that this is a little bit of, there was a lot of things that went wrong, but this is a little bit of what happened in Atlantis and Lemuria, and why we fell is because we were still externalizing. We were still looking outside of ourselves. The Pleiadians up on the mountain, the beings over in Orion when we were in Egypt that were communicating with us through the pyramids, that we are really learning how to internalize our divinity instead of looking outside of ourselves for it. How does that resonate? How does that feel?
I love it. Speak, sister, speak. Sister, speak.
So it can feel a little radical. It can feel a little like, ooh, I don't know if I'm supposed to do that. I don't know. Those of us who've been doing this work and have been in priesthood or mystery school hierarchies for millennia, or even in your life today, to ground it a little bit more. If you have participated in organizations or even in a mentorship relationship where you were comparing yourselves to them in a way that made you feel disempowered. These are all themes and things that we need to be exploring as we move forward. And what does that really mean? What is sovereign leadership? If there's no hierarchy, what is sovereign leadership? What does that mean?
Yeah. Let's find out.
Well, we're gonna find out over the next several decades, and that's something that I, as a leader, keep in mind. And I understand, as a leader, what does that really mean? Even like, I'm a leader of myself. I lead myself through my own darkness and share that experience and offer my skills as a leader, which means building platforms for people to rise upon and within, which means building organizations and programs that people can use to rise within themselves, that people can use to find their own thing or way, or whatever it is. That's what it means to me right now, but I'm still really exploring what sovereign leadership means.
Awesome. I love it. I'm just going to, as I speak again, just because I was getting the feedback for whatever reason. So thank you so much. Oh, I love it. And I mean, we can't finish. I know we're going to wrap this up. I appreciate everybody who's been watching, and it feels so good to just get to communicate, and also know that as we're communicating, right, if light is information and we're sharing our information, we're, illuminating our little corner of the internet, and you watching are doing the same. So it's like, I think that has a lot to do with sovereign leadership, as well as like, speak what you want to speak, and don't be afraid to share that. And I also want to say that I think it's, that was it's really interesting, because as we go through this world of so many people rising and so many people coming up and saying, this is who I am, we can't even think with the pedestal anymore, or the hierarchy, because it's just like, well, what if you like, tomatoes and I like cantaloupe, or whatever, and cantaloupe has like 10,000 followers, but tomatoes have like 1 million. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's, if you want something sweet, you're going to want the cantaloupe. And if you want to make, soup, you're going to want the tomato. But anyways, but I mean, we can't, I at least can't end this broadcast without saying something about the full moon. And so that'll be my little, Ciara shared that amazing sovereignty medicine with us. And so this full moon is really, any full moon is the sun in one side and the moon on the opposite side. And my one hand is holding my iPad broadcasting on Periscope. Otherwise, I'd have both my hands up right now, showing how it's about contrast between these two signs. And the sun is illuminating the moon, and the moon energy, again, this is all energy, but the moon represents very deep subconscious energy that's normally very hidden, or not always accessible unless we really search for it or listen for it, or whether that looks like a meditation practice or a journaling practice or just like a listening practice. But when there's a full moon, the sun, which is our awareness, is shining on that. And so the moon is bright up in the sky, illuminated, meaning a lot of subconscious patterns, a lot of fears, a lot of triggers are illuminated. But these triggers are awesome teachers, because it's like, I like to say, imagine that you have like an attic, and your attic has always had the light burnt out. And someone gives you a flashlight, and now you get to go up there and like see what's actually up there in that attic. And it's like, you go up there and you're like, whoa, I've been holding on to a lot of stuff. It can feel scary. Maybe you find like a book from like an ex-boyfriend and you're triggered by that emotional experience. Or maybe you find like your grandmother's wedding dress and you're sad because you miss her. So there's these emotional responses to these things we find that are normally hidden. Now, obviously, this attic analogy is happening like within our own psyche. So we're finding old fears, or we're finding old things. Now, with the contrast between Scorpio and Taurus, where the moon is in Taurus and the sun is in Scorpio, this is the contrast between reality and behind the veil. And, I think that it's fair to say that reality is triggering a lot of people right now. The way physical reality has taken form is maybe, a little different than what people would have chosen or what people think is right. Now, that being said, it's about realizing that you are energy and your source energy, and that comes first. So I think that that's what this full moon is really teaching us, is every single thing you see outside of you is a result of an internal state of being or an internal dialogue. And now, we're all one. We're absolutely all one. We're all energy. But I also think we're kind of in a time period where people are like, I don't want to hear that anymore. We're all one. Like, how do I use that? What does that even mean? I'm not one with him. Like, I'm not one with the man with the orange face, or I'm not one with, all these people. Like, I'm not one with them. Now, the thing is, yes, you are, but it's about now not just seeing that as some, like, cliche things, live in the moment, but actually doing it, actually incorporating that into your life, actually bringing that into your reality. So, I think that what a huge part of what, and this kind of, I feel speaks a lot to your topic, your heart riff on sovereignty, is that when we focus in physical reality, we think we need stuff from outside of us. We think we needed this person to win the election. I mean, I just keep bringing up the US election because it's such a perfect example of this contrast of this full moon. And like, I was just, because I don't follow politics at all. And when it happened and I saw what was going on, and I'm like, full moon in Taurus and sun in Scorpio, of course. But anyways, we think we need these things. Maybe you think you need your boyfriend to say something to you. Maybe you think you need to lose 10 pounds. Maybe you think you need all these things. You need all these things from physical reality. You need reality to give you these things. You are everything. You're already everything. So, just as before we got on here, I was taking a little walk. I was just doing some journaling and some writing at the library. And all that I kept saying to myself was, I don't need anything because I am everything. So that's some fresh insights from myself. I don't need anything because I am everything. And I mean, you might think like, oh, that's not very logical, but really start to incorporate that into your life and look, okay, you want to, the person to tell you they love them. Well, maybe you should start realizing you already are love, or maybe you need, and it's really just now about getting super responsible and practical and determined by realizing that your energy and your focus and your thoughts and what you're allowing to occur inside yourself, and a lot of that has to do inside your mind, just because that's sort of what we learn and how we're hardwired. You got to get sovereignty over that. You got to take that power back from there. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It can be pretty gnarly, but it's about mindfulness and reminding yourself of this over and over and over and over and over, moment by moment by moment. So, Ciara, do you have anything else you would like to share? I know you have some exciting goodies and giveaways and things like that.
Oh, yeah. And then I can't see, by the way, Amanda said, love that, Shannon. I have a bunch of people commenting over on Facebook Live. So they love it. They love what they're picking up what you're putting down, girl. Liz, I like saying the universe provides me with everything I need. I am whole. Amen, sister. Yeah. So I can't see how many people are with us on the Google broadcast or on the YouTube live, or is there anyone there live, or is it everybody on Periscope and Facebook?
No, people are. How many are on? Live broadcast? But there are viewers.
Okay. Yeah, so this is like a perfect, segue. So this is kind of the first that I'm kind of announcing this on video or anything like that. It's really just been really, really quick and secret in that little Instagram post. But I am on the verge of launching a new project, and I wanted to give away one or two spots in that project, in that program. It is a video and luxury jewelry experience, which is kind of unique. It's really interesting. It's called Mastering Messenger Magic because, I mean, the feels, y'all, the energy, and what's going on right now. We are really healing as a spiritual community. We are really healing, and that next step is really speaking, really saying and speaking our truth on that next level. On that galactic level, if that is what is calling you. And that might not be calling everyone, you know, but it took me like 8 months from finding out that I was being called to speak on that to actually speaking on that. So this is a program that is really going to help fully heal that throat chakra. It's Mastering Messenger Magic. We're healing the throat chakra. We are clearing anything that is preventing us from not only having the creativity, but manifesting that creativity out into the physical world so that everyone can benefit from that. Okay, and so it's a video course where we go through talking about Larimar. So that's the crystal, that's the jewelry. It's a Larimar pendant that I got directly from the Dominican Republic. They are gorgeous. I mean, they are so pure and beautiful. I have many different sizes and shapes of them. The Larimar is a throat chakra healing crystal. And it is also referred to as the Dolphin Stone or the Atlantis Stone. This stone washed up on the shores of the Dominican Republic just a few decades ago, just maybe 3 decades ago, near the Atlantic Ocean, near where Atlantis sank. And this crystal contains the consciousness of Atlantis, not only the trauma of the fall, but also the wisdom, the technology that we had access to at this time. So the video course covers why Larimar, what can Larimar do for you on a healing level? How can your Larimar pendant and watching this video and the guided meditations that are going to come along with it, how can that help you to remember your lives in Atlantis, forgive yourself for what happened, or tap into that genius that you grounded in Atlantis? It's also going to connect you to galactic consciousness, to the Syrian dolphins that live in our oceans, and also a portion of the proceeds is going to go to ocean conservation, which I am very, very passionate about. It's all, a portion is going to go to ocean conservation, and it's also going to go to Standing Rock. This is about the water. This is about our planet. This is about ascending as an entire planet, an entire collective consciousness, and speaking up about that, speaking up about the truth that is in your heart and in your gut that you have been holding back. And so that is what Mastering Messenger Magic is all about. I just got on a tangent. I was channeling. I got really excited. Sorry, not sorry.
Oh my God, so I got chills as you're talking about all of that.
Woo! Yeah, so I want to give away, you know, I want to give away 2. So that means that you're going to get the video course, which is 5 videos. You know, some of that is guided meditation, some past life regression, some galactic connection to the Syrian energies. And you're also going to get a gorgeous, like, I mean, they are just the ocean embodied Larimar pendant. So
oh my God,
I don't know how
it's generous.
So I don't know how to go about giving those away or what we should do, or
well, how about I'll talk about my giveaway, what I'm gonna give.
Yeah,
think about it.
You haven't told me anything about it.
Okay, so I'm just gonna read that in a second. So thank you all so much for watching. It's just so cool and so exciting, and this has been a long time coming to get on Google Hangouts with, you know, or whatever. It doesn't have to be Google Hangouts, but get on and talk with people. I love it. So for you watching, you're going to receive my guided meditation. That's called the Chakra Light Activation Meditation. So we're talking a lot about light and information, and this basically it's just a guided meditation. You can't do meditation wrong, but it will really just guide you through a process of calling in light to your energy centers. And I really intend with this offering to be a launching pad for you to sort of get creative in your own individual meditation practice. But this is the practice that I do pretty much every day, and it has really catapulted me into new paradigms. So it's normally for sale in my store, but for you watching, it's going to be free. Now, if you registered for this class or this video, you're going to get an email with the replay, and you're also going to get a link to download your free meditation. Now, I realize that there's some people watching, especially on Periscope and Facebook Live, who maybe didn't register, or if you're watching this in the future, whatever. If you didn't register, if you're not getting an email from us, please send me an email, info@shannonhugman.com. Just say, hey, I was watching Speak Sister Speak. I would like the meditation. So again, if you registered, you're going to get that link. And if you didn't, send me an email, info@shannonhugman.com, and I will hook you up. The other thing I want to announce is that I am going to be launching my first email prompt journey, let's call it. So it's going to be called Sourced. And so like I said, we're all source energy. So this journey is about getting sourced and getting pumped and connecting with source energy and seeing yourself and becoming aware of other energies. And so it's going to just be probably every other day little video from me. It's going to start in like next week. So in that link, you're also, or in that email, you'll also get a link to sign up for that, which will be free email prompts from me. Just sort of like, again, information is light. It's just sort of shining in your inbox saying, hey, why don't you think about this or check out this? And again, a lot of it's just going to be what I've been experiencing, because I was in this period of hibernation, which was not like anything I've ever done before, and I'm just coming out of it with a lot of insights that I want to share. So that's going to be a free email prompt series, a series of emails from me. Again, you will get to sign up for that in that email, and I'm going to also, I'll probably put it in the comments of this video, but again, if you're watching and you're like, I'm not getting emails, I don't know who you are, then please follow me. I'm Shannon Hugman. Follow me on Instagram. Also find me on Facebook. Instagram is where most of the party goes down, and I will be posting about sourced email prompts, so you can find out the info there. It's an exciting time. I just want to say a couple more things, but I also have a fun idea. Basically, oh yeah, I also have a full moon reading going on right now. It's only $4. Normally I make these, they're much more expensive, but I just felt like the world needed some insights. So this is a $4. You get to know what this full moon means for each of the 12 signs. Plus, I led a distance energy healing meditation. You can get that at shannonhugmanastrology.com. shannonhugmanastrology.com. Later this month, I'm also going to be doing buy one, gift one readings, so stay tuned for that. It'll be super fun, like in the holiday spirit. And yeah, so I'm Shannon Hugman. You can follow me on Instagram, Shannon Hugman. Find me, across the board. I'm Shannon Hugman. And shannonhugmanastrology.com is where we can work together deeper. But Ciara, you know what? I thought I had an idea hit me as maybe you could do something, so this is called Speak Sister Speak. So maybe in order to win, a chance, someone could, share a truth, like speak from the heart, either like, in a post on and hashtag it, Speak Sister Speak, and hashtag it the name of your course, or also, since I'm going to be sending out the email tomorrow, if you want to take a little time to contemplate and meditate on the contest, like you don't have to feel like on the spot with it. We can always include the details tomorrow. But yeah, maybe like encouraging that throat chakra energy, speaking, sharing some sort of something. Oh wait, you got to unmute yourself. Yeah.
I'm unmuted. Okay. Yeah, so that's great. I like that idea to do like a little posting contest. Let's do that on Instagram. and if you can just tag me in the post, if you're watching on Facebook Live, if you're watching on live or on replay, just post a picture and tell me your story. Just tell me, you know, how you have overcome feeling like you don't have a voice, or how do you feel empowered to overcome not feeling like you have a voice, or that you have had a voice in your life. You know, what are the things that you're kind of scared to talk about, but you really, really want to start talking about them? And then just tag me in the picture and use the hashtag Mastering Messenger Magic. Just like it, you know, the regular words, Mastering Messenger Magic. I think that'll be good to do it that way, to do a little Instagram post contest. And Shannon is awesome at promoting her stuff. And so now I'm going to like take her lead and remind you, you know, I got all airy fairy talking about my program and all that stuff. But you can find more information about that new program and about all of the other things that I offer. A free School of Magic that is a 20 video series that you can get for free, that is all about intuition development and empath self-empowerment, over at my website, ciararubin.com. Everything, just like Shannon, everything for me is Ciara Rubin. So my Instagram is ciara.rubin. My Twitter, my Facebook is Ciara Rubin. So find me there. I also am recently getting more active on YouTube. I've got some of my galactic channelings on YouTube, and also Claire Love is going to start being available on YouTube. And so go ahead and check that out, bit.ly/Ciara Rubin YouTube. You can also check out my website, ciararubin.com, for a one-on-one session. I'm still doing one-on-one sessions, so you can do a crystal clear intuitive session. I just booked a couple of galactic sessions for tomorrow, which I am super, super excited about. So you can check all of that out at ciararubin.com. And yeah, I love you. I want to say that before you unmute me or come back. I want to talk about how much I love Shannon and how much of a bright light that she is. And we all know that, all of us who are watching, all of us who have seen you grow and seen you rise. It is an absolute inspiration. It is an absolute honor to be in your presence on the reg. And I am just so grateful to consider you one of my good friends. And thank you so much for the energy that you bring, for the way that you show up for everybody. Thank you for all of the things that you say. Your astrology forecasts are always so on point and so resonant, deep in everyone's gut. And I love you. I love you so much. And I'm just so grateful that we are doing this and working together. And thank you for being you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Back at you. All of that. You're incredible. And great. That's what I love. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a whole gush fest about how much we love each other, but I admire Ciara and the work she does and the things she says, because she's saying things nobody else is saying. And, you know, and I didn't mention this, but I totally should have. When I first had my catastrophic awakening, we can call it, in 2010, one of the huge lights that came into my life was a website called Galactic Channelings. And there were channelings from Sirius, and I don't even remember the actual terms, but I would read these channelings and just believe in them. And just, I remember like reading them to my mom and her being like, oh, well, it isn't that interesting, Shannon. All right. Well, I hope that's true. But anyways, what you speak to with the galactic consciousness and all of that, and the aliens and the UFOs and whatever, you know, the right languages to describe it, because I think that our language is pretty limited when it comes to that realm. But, oh, you're doing good work, really good work. And it, again, is the respect and the love and the gratitude is totally mutual. All right, so Ciara, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to say a little goodbye. I feel like we're, you know, here we are. So look for that email from us. And yeah, if not, if you don't get that email and you want that meditation, info@shannonhugman.com, but definitely check out ciararubin.com. I've worked one-on-one with Ciara, and it was like way more than anything I ever expected, and it still resonates with me daily, really. So definitely want to check out Ciara. And I'm a student of Claire Love too. I can speak so much to how awesome Claire Love is and how amazing it is, and the opportunity to have that information for free is incredible. And it really just speaks to how Ciara is illuminating the collective, you know, sharing this valuable insights. All you have to do is sign up. It's like the what did you say the cat said in Egypt? The being said, you're
Yes, she said, Sekhmet said, you are chosen because you choose. And so being a light worker is not about being special. It's about how special it is to step up into your calling. And how special it is to step into the sisterhood that is waiting for you when you do so.
Yeah.
And brotherhood.
Yeah. Well,
but yes, thank you so much. Yeah, to you as well. I love you. I love everyone who is watching today and every day. And we'll talk to you soon.